let's get right into this review for Mufasa, the Lion King. Alright, so Mufasa is a prequel to the classic tale of the Lion King, which is one of the most beloved stories among the lineups of past Disney films. And for this story, we follow Mufasa on his early childhood journey of finding his own path in the circle of life and witnessing how he rises up to become king. And with the original 1994 Lion King story being such a beloved tale, I'm sure many people going into this prequel will have some sort of idea of what to expect, especially since the inevitable outcome of these characters' futures are set in stone within the classic tale. So that leads me to my next point. How's the story for this prequel? I'll be honest, I went into this expecting utter disappointment after seeing some of the early reviews bashing this as another unnecessary prequel. And with that aspect, it is true. After having seen the story for myself, I never found this to be a necessary tale that enhances the original work and the overall lore here. There's no question that money was at stake here and that there's a Disney franchise to keep alive by pumping out stories in the cinematic format, even if it takes the form of prequels. But now with all of that being said, I still truly didn't find Mufasa the Lion King to be as bad as many of the early reviewers are making it out to be. Sure, this isn't an all too original or creative project, and you can, for the most part, predict how the story will unfold, yet I still found myself pleasantly enjoying the visuals from the well-crafted CGI and found enjoyment in the overall story with reminiscent themes from the original Lion King tale that can still tug at your heart and create some emotional depth to the drama and what's at stake in the story of this prequel. It obviously won't be as good as the original, but there was enough here to make my overall experience with this film at the theaters to be justifiable and satisfactory. But now let me bring up some cons I had with this film. To start off, sometimes the audio here was too bombastic for my liking, and it was hard to make out what some of the characters were saying or singing at times, and the overall clarity just wasn't there for me. This could have been the IMAX experience or maybe the sound mixing as a whole, but I'm not too sure. And also, sometimes the CGI and the cuts were too hectic for my liking. Lots of revolving camera angles and quick character actions infused with jump cuts that didn't make this as smooth of a movie viewing experience at times. I will say though, the majority of the film's fluidity in the animation was fine, but there were segments that made it a noticeably choppy viewing experience. And my final con is that the story of Mufasa here is told in the past tense as a tale to Simba's son in the film, and there'd be several sequences where we cut back to the present time in the middle of telling Mufasa's tale that just didn't work for me. The pacing felt offbeat at times due to these moments, and the conversations that some characters were having in the present moment didn't really add much of anything to the story. These segments ultimately felt like fillers with unfunny jokes and a lazy way to transition to the next segment of Mufasa's tale. Anyways, my final score for Mufasa, the Lion King is 7.5 out of 10. I think if you condone the idea of Disney creating prequels for their classic tales, I don't think the story here is going to alleviate that negativity you feel. But if you're able to look past that, the story definitely can hold up on its own. It's not perfect and there are flaws to the narrative, but for the most part, it can turn out to be a cinematic experience worthy of your time. I personally haven't revisited the original Lion King film in a while, so having some of the nostalgic factors hit me with this film seemed to be pretty effective. So all in all, it definitely wasn't the worst prequel I've witnessed among all the other cinematic experiences out there. Thanks for checking this review out. I'll have more coming out next week. Appreciate y'all for tuning in up until this point, and I shall see you in my next review. Until then, peace.